We've been talking a lot about project and timelines. In this video, we're going to take some time to step back and take a look at the big picture of how all these things fit together. VenueMagic always starts with a project. A project contains timelines, which we have discussed a lot so far, and playlists, which we will cover later on. Essentially, a playlist is just a list of timelines played back in a particular order. It's just like a music playlist, except it plays timelines. A project also remembers all of the fixtures and their settings, lamp previews, the audio library, and a number of other things we'll mention later. VenueMagic can open only one project at a time. To create a new project, select File, New, Project. This window lets you copy elements of the current project into the new one. Click F1 for more information about that. By default, a new project has a single timeline with 2 tracks. A project is stored in a project file, which we can save by selecting File, Save Project. The first time you save a new project, you will be asked for a name and a file location. By default, project files are saved in the project folder of the VenueMagic Documents folder. However, a good practice is to create a subfolder in the project folder and give it the name of your project. This is not required, but it's a good idea. If you put all files relating to your project in the same folder, it makes it much easier to copy the project to a different computer later on. I like to give my project folder and project file the same name, but that's not required either. I do strongly recommend that you don't use the default project name, in this case, Project 1, because doing so can create a lot of confusion later on. You can load a project file by selecting File, Open. This option is for opening timelines and playlists as well as projects. If you select project files here, it will filter the browser window so that only project files are shown. You also have this menu here, which lists the most recent projects you opened. Timelines are also stored in their own files, even though they are part of the project. Copies of timeline files can actually be imported into other projects. However, 2 projects cannot share the same timeline file. Save the timeline file of the timeline currently shown in the editor by selecting File, Save. Just as with the project file, the first save of a new timeline file will ask you to provide a name and location for the file. Make sure it goes into the same folder as for the project file, and please do not use the default name. Name it something meaningful. You can always go back and change it later. Once you have saved a timeline for the first time, it will appear in the timeline folder in the project window. Double-click on a timeline in the timeline folder to open it into the editor. All open timelines appear in the Open Files list. You may open as many timelines as you like, but you can only edit one at a time. However, I would recommend that you don't open too many timelines, maybe 10 at most. This is because open timelines take up memory and resources, and having too many of them opened at once could slow things down. Close a timeline by right-clicking on it and selecting Close File. And that's pretty much an overview of VenueMagic projects.